Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to continue with chapter number 3, Node.js modules from Web Frameworks. In last two sessions, we have seen about Node.js functions, their syntax with examples. Then we have seen that function scope, outside and inside or new variable scope. Then we have seen that Node.js higher order function with examples. Then we have seen about anonymous function, that is function without name is called an anonymous function. We have seen that higher order functions, that functions within functions, function act as a or variable act as a functions. Then we have seen that closures, function inside the function, that is outer function or inner function. Then we have seen the Node.js buffers. We have seen the example for that buffer. Then we have seen that encoding. Then today we are going to continue with that Node.js module. In Node.js, module in Node.js is a simple or complex functionality organized in a single or multiple JavaScript files, which can be reused throughout the Node.js applications. In Node.js, module is a simple or complex functionality. That means that simple or complex code is combined into a single unit, or that multiple JavaScript files are combined into that module that we can use throughout that Node.js application. Okay, so in each module in Node.js has its own context, so it cannot interface with other modules or pollute global scope. Also, each module can be placed in a separate .js file under a separate folder. Each module is saved in separate place, or each module can be placed in a separate .js file under a separate folder. Separate folders are there in that separate modules are there with that .js extension. Node.js implements CommonJS module standard. CommonJS is a group of volunteers who define JavaScript standards for web server, desktop, and console application. That CommonJS is a group of volunteers who define that JavaScript standards for web servers, desktop, and console applications. It is a standard or group of volunteers, that is CommonJS. Then there are three types of modules in Node.js. First one is core modules, local module, and third party modules. These are the three modules in Node.js. So first one is Node.js core modules. As we know that Node.js is a lightweight framework, that the core module includes bare minimum functionalities of Node.js. It includes minimum functionalities of that Node.js. These core modules are compiled into its binary distribution and load automatically when Node.js process starts. When that Node.js process is start or it's going to be executed, at that time that core modules are compiled into that binary distribution and it will load automatically when that process started. However, you need to import the core module first in order to use it in your application. First, we have to import that core modules in our program, then we can run our application. Then here is the list of some modules, core modules in Node.js. First one is HTTP core module. So this module includes classes, methods, and events to create node.js HTTP server. Okay, that is, this HTTP module includes their classes, some methods for that HTTP server, for web server or for creating server, and some events in Node.js for that HTTP server. Next one is URL. URL module includes methods for URL resolution and parsing. Resolution of that URL and parsing of that URL. There are several methods under this module. Next one is query string. Query string module includes methods to deal with query string. To deal with query string. And next one is path. Path module includes methods to deal with file paths. Whenever we are going to work with directories, files, folders, at that time we can use this path module. The next one is FS. FS module includes classes, methods, and events to work with file input output, that is file IO. Then util module. This module includes utility functions useful for programmers. These are some core modules in Node.js. So how to load that core modules in our application? In order to use that Node.js core modules or npm modules, we can say, we first need to import it using that require function. Require is the function. By using that require function, we can use this or we can load these core modules in our application. So how we can use this require function here? Here you can see one variable, take one variable as a module, like where module is equals to require function with the parameter module name in single quote. We can pass that parameter in single quote, that is module name, and semicolon here. Variable, take one variable module is equals to require function having parameter of that module name. So here this is the syntax for importing that module in our application. So by using this require function, we can specify that module name here and use this module, that module in our application. Here the require function will return an object, function, or property or any other JavaScript types depending on what the specified module returns. Suppose for example we have written one module for display. The display, for example, one module is there, area. That module includes several functions for calculating area for uh, circle, triangle, rectangle, etc. Okay, so that module is having different functions for calculating area. And if we mention that require that module name here with this extension, that means that modules with their properties, objects, and functions all are included in that application. Okay, we are going to include that module means we are going to access all the functions, properties, and whatever that module includes, we are going to access this in that application. So this is how we can include or we can load these core modules in our application using that require function. Here you can see one example for load and use of core HTTP module. Here we are going to use the HTTP module. Here you can see one variable we have taken here, variable where HTTP equals to require function with the module name HTTP. HTTP is a core module in Node.js. Okay, so another variable is server, where server is equals to, now we are going to use the methods of that HTTP core module here. Here you can see HTTP dot create server. Create server is the method from that HTTP module. In that we are going to write one function request comma a response here. And close that function and write the body of that function here and close that body, then close that create server method here, and at last server dot listen after 5 seconds. Okay, this is the delay here. In this example here you can see that require function returns an object because HTTP module returns its functionality as an object. Remember this HTTP module returns its functionality as an object. So we can use its properties and methods using dot notations. Here you can see the dot HTTP dot create server method here. In this way we can load and use that Node.js core modules in our application. Okay. So next module is Node.js local module. Here local modules are created locally in our Node.js application. We can create that module locally and include that module in our application. So this module includes different functionalities of your application in separate files and folders. We are going to store that different modules in different folders here or in separate folders. So we can also package it and distribute it via npm. Npm is Node Package Manager. Okay, so that Node.js community can use it. We can create a package of that modules here so that we can use that modules. For example, here you can see if we need to connect if you need to connect to MongoDB and fetch data, then you can create a module for it which can be reused in your application. Means if you want to connect with any database through that Node.js application, then we can write that connectivity code in one module, and we can whenever we want to connect with the database, every time we can reuse that module in our application. That is local module. So how to write that module? Here there is one example here. First, we have to write simple logging module which logs the information, warning or error to the console. Okay. So in Node.js, module should be placed in a separate JavaScript file. Always remember that module should be placed in a separate JavaScript file. So create a log.js file and write the following code into it. Here you can see the example. First, we are going to create one log file, that is, we will keep this file as a separate keep in separate JavaScript file, that is log.js. What that include? One variable, that is log. Here you can see where log equals to, we are going to write here what we are going to include, which logs the information, warning or error to that console. Here you can see information, info, that function with the information parameter, then console.log. It includes plus information. Similarly for warning message, then for error. Okay, here you can see. And at last we are going to use that module.exports. Module.exports equal to log. Okay, in this example of a logging module, here we have created an object with three functions. First one is information, then information function is there, then warning function and error function. Here at the end we have assigned this object, which object? That log object, to that module.exports. Okay, so this module.exports in this example exposes a log object as a module. This log object as a module. Now this is one module. Okay, so this module.exports is a special object which is included in every JavaScript file in the Node.js application by default. We can include this file, or this module.export exposes or includes in every JavaScript file. Whenever we are writing an application, that module exports will be included. Here use that module.exports, or exports to, here either use module.exports or exports to expose a function, object or variable as a module in Node.js. To expose that function, object or variable as a module in Node.js. Here you can see this variable log, or we can say object or variable. Okay, we are going to expose this as a module. Then how to load that local module? Loading a local module. To use local modules in our application, we need to load it using require function, in the same way as like we are loading that core module. Okay, so similarly, like using require function, we can load that local module. So we need to specify the path of that JavaScript file of the module. We have to specify the path, because that module is local module. We are going to store at certain folder or in a directory. Okay, so that we have to uh, specify the path in that require function. So here you can see that how to use that logging module we have written in already in, that is log.js. Here log.js file we have, written here. So how to include that in locally? Here you can see, take one variable. Your next file is app.js. Take one variable, that is my log module. Okay, so now we have to include that log.js file, that local module in our application. Here how to include that? Using require function. Take one variable, my log module, here is equals to use require function with, here now you can see in single quote we have specified that file name. Before that file name you can see here dot slash. Here dot means it denotes the root folder or root directory. Okay, so that is the path of that file. Okay, so next one is my log module dot, here that variable my log module dot info. So that info is from this log.js. Here you can see that info function, okay, is from this module. So now we are going to access the methods, functions, objects, variables from this module here using this object here my log module dot info, and we are going to print that one message here node.js started. Okay, node.js started here, this message we are going to display here. Okay, so here in this example you can see this app.js, this is the app.js another file using that log module that we have already written. Okay, so first it loads the logging module using this require function and specify the path where that module is stored. Okay, so logging module is containing that log.js file in the root folder, so that's why we have specified the path dot slash log.js in the require function. That here I already told you that the dot denotes it's a root folder. Okay, so this is the way we can load that local module in our application. So that require function returns a log objects because logging module exposes an object in log.js mode using module.exports. So now you can use logging module as an object and call any of its function using dot notation. I already here you can see using dot we can call that functions from this module. Okay, here like example is like my module.info where info is the function from that log.js file. Okay, so after running this code, like we can run this app.js file here. In app.js we have included this log.js file. Okay, so this in this after running app.js it will print that info node.js started. Here how this, because in this information function we have written that console.log print that print that function here. So after with this object and using this info function we are going to print this node.js started message. Okay, so this is the way we can load that local module in our application, and okay, and we can use that object functions from that module in our application. Okay, this is all about local module. So next one is export module in Node.js. Export module. Here we have seen that module.export. Module.export is a special object which is included in every JavaScript file in the Node.js application by default. By default, this module.export is included in JavaScript file. So this the module is a variable. Okay, the module sorry, the module is a variable that represents the current module, and exports is an object that will be exposed as a module. So that module may be a variable that represents the current module. Okay, and export means here that module means the current module, and that exports means that object will be exposed as a module. So whatever we are going to assign to module.exports, it will be exposed as a module. Okay, whatever we are going to assign to that module.exports, it will be exposed as a module. In last slides, we have seen that module.exports is equals to log. This log will act as an object for that module.exports here. Okay, log will be executed as a module. Yeah, module.exports is equal to log. This log file or this variable log will act as a module for this. So that here we have seen that whatever we are going to assign to that module.exports will be exposed as a module. So yeah, let's see how to expose different types as a module using module.exports. So first one is export literals. Export literals. So as mentioned above, here you can see export is an object. Okay, export is an object. Then so it exposes whatever you assign to it as a module. In last slides we have seen that module.exports is equal to log. That log is a variable which includes several functions. Okay, and that log will act as a module here. So what that log is assigned to that module dot export, so that it will act as a module. Okay. So similarly, like if you assign a string literal, then it will expose that string literal as a module. Okay, here you can see one example here. We are having one example that exposes simple string message as a module. Simple string message. Here you can see, suppose one file is there, message.js, which includes that module.exports is equal to hello world message. Okay, this is a simple string message. Okay, now this string message will act as a module for this file. Okay, whenever we are going to include that message.js, what it includes one string message. Okay, that is module for this file. Now we are going to import this message module. Now this message.js is a module. We are going to import this message.module and we are going to use it. How? Another file is there, like for example app.js. Now we are going to include this message module in this app.js. Simply take one variable like message is equals to, using require function we can import this module. So now this is a local module, so specify the path for that module, like dot slash, that is because this file is, or this module is stored in the root folder. So dot slash message.js, that is the module name. Okay, so now using require function we have loaded that module in our application. Now print that variable. Okay, so console.log message. So we are going to print this message. What that message contains, it loads that message.js module here. What that message.js contains, one string message, that is hello world. After running this application like node app.js, it will print that message. Okay, so what that message is, hello world. Okay, so this is the way of that export literals are act as a module. We can we can include that export module. In that we can use that string literals as a module here. So next one is export object. We have seen that export literals, now export object is there. So we have seen that export is an object, so we can attach properties or methods to it. Okay, in previous slides we have seen that we are going to attach that literals to that object, to that module. Now here one example is there that will expose an object with the string property in message.file. Here for message.js file we are having exports. Okay, either we can use module.exports or we can use exports. So now we are going to use exports. Here you can see, either we can use exports or we can use module.exports. Okay, so exports dot simple message is equals to hello world, or module.exports dot simple message is equals to hello world. Okay, so now we are here in this example we are going to attach a property simple message to the export object. Okay, so now we are going to import this and use in our module. How we can use? Here one file app.js, another javascript file having one variable message. Now we are going to import that module message.js using require function in our application, and we are going to print that console.log. What we are going to print? Message.simple message. Okay, message.simple message. What that require function will return here? It will return an object like simple message colon hello world, and it will assign to the message variable. Okay, so that message.js will return that object like simple message colon hello world, and it will assign to that message variable. Okay, so after it will allocate it to that message variable, now we can use that message dot simple message in our application. So after running this application, what we will get? Here you can see we will get that hello world message through that message dot simple message. What it contain? It contain the message hello world. Okay, so this is how we can export the object here. Okay, here you can see one example how this how we can expose an object with function. Okay, here one example is there, having a log.js file. What it includes: module.exports.log. Here module.exports.log is equals to one function. This is the anonymous function without name, with the parameter message, having body like console.log. It will print the message. Okay, so what that message we will import here. After this is the log.js file. Here this above module will expose an object. Okay, this is the object. This module will return an object. What it will return? It will return log dot function, sorry, log colon function in bracket message. What it will contain? It will contain console dot log message. That means now this is this object will act as a module. Now we are going to include in our program. So use this above module in our program here, this log.js module. In another JavaScript file, we are going to take one variable and we will import using required function. We are going to import this module in our application, that is using required function with that root, with that path of that module. Okay, so now how we are going to access that object here? Using message.log, this variable message dot log. Okay, in bracket what we are going to pass here, that message we are going to pass, that message is hello world. Okay, it will pass to that log module. That message dot log means that now in this module we are going to print that message. So after running this app.js, it will print as a hello world message. Okay, so here you can see another example. We can also attach object to module.exports. We can attach an object to module.exports. Here one file is there, name data.js. What it contains? A module.exports in bracket, sorry, module.exports equals to, in curly bracket, first name is equals to James and last name is equals to Bond. Here you can see these are the two parameters we are going to include, or that first name is colon equals to name James and last name colon equals to Bond. Okay, so next file is app.js. Now this file contains one variable, person is equals to require function. That means we are going to import that data.js modules in our app.js files. So now we are going to print that console.log. What we are going to print using this person object here, person dot first name plus, using this we are going to concatenate these two names here, person dot first name plus then plus person dot last name. Okay, so that data module we are going to import here. The data module includes first name and last name here. So we are going to print using this person object here. Now this will act as object, so it will print like James Bond. It will concatenate that James and first name and last name here. Okay, here we are going to attach object to module dot exports. Okay, yeah, next one is export functions. How we can export the functions? So we can attach literals, strings, then object to that export. Now we can also attach an anonymous function to export object. How? Here we can see one module is there, log.js. Here module.exports equals to function. One function is there without name. That means this is the anonymous function having body like we are going to print that message here, that parameters. Okay, so this is one module. Okay, so how we can use this module in our application using require function? Another file is there, includes variable message. Now using require function we are going to load this log.js module. Okay, then we are going to print. Now here you can see message, we are going to directly call this message function, sorry, we are going to directly call this module. Here message is the parameter, we are directly pass that value to that parameter like hello world. Okay, so here you can see the message variable becomes a function. Now this message variable will act as a function expression in the above example. Here you can see this message variable will act as a function. Why? Because we are importing this log.js module. What it includes? It includes one function. Okay, anonymous function. Okay, so that means uh, consider directly here variable message equals to function. That means this function or this variable will act as a function. Okay, that means we are going to assign that function to that variable. Okay, so here we can invoke the function using this parenthesis. Okay, after running this code, what we will get this message as a hello world. Okay, that means here we are going to export the function here, exporting functions as a module. Okay, so next one is export function as a class. In JavaScript, a function can be treated like a class. Function can be treated like a class. Here there is one example that exposes a function that can be used like a class. Here one file is there, person.js. It includes module.exports equals to one function with the parameter. This is the anonymous function without name. That function in bracket first name comma last name. So in the body of that function includes this dot first name is equals to first name, and this dot last name is equals to last name, and this dot full name is equals to function. Directly we are going to calling that function. Okay, and body of that function is return this dot first name plus concatenate that two single quotes, then plus this dot last name. Okay, this is one module. Person.js is one module. Okay, so we are going to import this module in our another application or another file like app.js, having one variable person, where person is equals to, here you can see, where person is equals to, using require function we are going to import that person.js module. Okay, with the root, with the path here, root dot slash person.js. Then another variable person1 is equals to new person. Here we are going to create the object of this variable using new keyword, and we are passing the values to that object. Okay, like James and Bond, like first name and last name we are going to pass, and we are going to print that console.log. What we are going to print this variable. Okay, person1 dot full name. Here this full name, here full name is from this module, and this full name is the will act as a function. Okay, because that full name is the variable from this module. That means here function, here this variable will act as a function here. Okay, so here you can see we have created a person object using new keyword. Okay, so after running this application app.js, what we will get the output as James Bond. Okay, so after importing this module here, we can access the functions from this module. Okay, here you can see we have created one object for that person. Okay, new using new keyword, and we are going to print here person1. What person1 includes? It includes the object of that person, and we are going to pass the value. So person1 dot full name, that full name is includes, full name includes return this dot first name and this dot last name. So it will return first name and last name like James and Bob. Okay, so that's it for today's session. Okay, so what we have seen that modules of that Node.js, that is core module, local module, and export module. In export modules we can export literals, objects, functions. Okay, so that's it for today's session. We will stop here. Thank you.